Paul Ryan is back in the news. Now, if you've been following American politics over the last 4 or so years, every once in a while I'll mention how Paul Ryan is like the perfect example of one of these spineless, gutless Republicans who saw Trump coming, had an opportunity perhaps to defend the party as he saw it, the Republican Party, and instead burrowed deep underground to emerge like a cicada many years later. Well, he's not quite ready. I mean, after all, Trump is still out there, tweeting away at his little desk and everything. But he has poked his head out to check the temperature, and he was critical of Trump, sort of. Here is a little bit of what he said. Once again, we conservatives find ourselves at a crossroads. And here's the reality that we have to face. If the conservative cause depends on the populist appeal of one personality or on second-rate imitations, then we're not going anywhere. Voters looking for Republican leaders want to see independence and mettle. They will not be impressed by the sight of yes men and flatterers flocking to Mar-a-Lago, which is not just a criticism of Donald Trump, but it's a criticism of Kevin McCarthy and others in the Republican Party that are still acting as if Donald Trump were president. I mean that both in that they deny that we had a legitimate election last November and they're doing whatever Donald Trump wants. So there's vague, unspecific, no names criticism for a lot of Republican leadership there. Ben Dixon, what do you think about Paul Ryan's plea to his party?
The first thing I thought of was if he's calling the rest of them second rate, I guess he considers Donald Trump a first rate populist. I just consider him to be a con man. And I also consider Paul Ryan to be just woefully insufficient to, nobody cares what Paul Ryan has to say. I mean, he has been forgotten even now, like he was on the mainstream news yesterday and this morning, and already like people have already forgotten him because the thing about these populists is that, and I'm talking about a very specific populist, not populism in general, because sometimes we lump it all into one category. But this far right wing populism, they are very loud and brash and in your face, and their jokes aren't funny, but they say something and the audience laughs anyway. And Paul Ryan, everyone was just falling asleep when he was speaking. So not only does he not have a backbone, he just doesn't have the charisma to go up against Donald Trump.
No, and like he even sort of gets that, saying, let's see, if it depends on the populist appeal of one personality, like, someone who's charismatic, I don't trust it. I've never seen it in the mirror. I don't trust it when I see it out there. And yeah, dude, what year do you think it is? Come on, seriously. Like, I don't know if the Republican Party is ever gonna go back. It's horrible now. It was horrible in a different way then. I don't think there's any going back. And they hate you, man. They might hate you more than they hate godless socialists like Ben and I, because they never had any expectations for us. You think they like you? You're the wonk, the young gun. You got the policy locked down. That never actually was true, but they like totally hyped you up. Dude, they like the space lasers woman infinitely more than they'll ever like you. You laugh at her as we do. I get it. I appreciate a good joke. But they trust her and they hate you. They're gonna label you a baby eater any day now, Paul Ryan, and that's if you're lucky.
Paul Ryan. Listen, no, they're gonna pull up. Remember those photos of him in the in the gym where he was like lifting weights, and at the time everybody's like, oh, he looks so amazing. Oh, this and that. Now, they're gonna pull up those same pictures and be like, look at this clown. Look at this cornball. Let Marjorie Taylor Greene. Listen, I'm not promoting them, but I just know that when Marjorie Taylor Greene and Donald Trump get their hands on Paul Ryan, I'm going to laugh at him along with the rest of America, because they should have done something to stop these monsters before they got power.
Exactly. I'm ready to laugh again. I did that Paul Ryan thing as a Halloween costume.
Oh, wow.
And I like to think I looked at least as douchey as he did.
We need photos. We have to see the photos, man.
They've got to be somewhere. I think Instagram was out. Anyway, so Paul Ryan continued saying it was horrifying to see a presidency come to a dishonorable and disgraceful end, referring to Trump's re-election loss and his sputtering and ultimately unsuccessful legal battle. Well, by the way, Ryan, like I know him. Ryan, buddy, bro. that's in that quote, you show that you don't get anything about the Republican Party because you just said that his presidency came to an end, that he lost. None of them believe that, you big stupid. What are you talking about? He lost. No. Sure, Joe Biden might be a sleepy robot of a clone, but he did successfully steal the election by like rallying the army of the dead to come and vote 30 times each in Georgia. Acknowledging the loss. You're not taking your party back, you wuss.
No, not.
Facts must be acknowledged, wussy.
No, honestly, the Republican Party is going to have to make a really hard decision, and I already know what they've decided. They've decided to cast their lot with Donald Trump. If they wanted to salvage anything that was remotely, anything that remotely resembled a reasonable party, then they would have to just amputate that entire arm of the Republican Party. But they're not. They're not going to do it because they're afraid of having to go through the process of rebuilding.
Sure. Yeah. No. Exactly. And I think there's one more quotation from him that I want to go. Like he talks about outrage peddlers or whatever. Dude, it's not May 2016. Yeah, we get it. They're outrage peddlers. People like it, unfortunately. That really, I think, defines the difference between the Republican Party as it exists today and the Republican Party that Paul Ryan used to be in the leadership of. And it's this. He says, culture matters, yes, but our party must be defined by more than a tussle over the latest grievance or perceived slight. He says other stuff, but I don't care about it. So there, I think he's indicating that like, dude, why are you all focusing so much on like the cancel culture or the Seuss or the talking potato or whatever? Like, no, we're supposed to be about conservative answers to problems. But the thing is, like, in terms of the policy goals, I don't think there's really any noticeable difference between those two versions of the Republican Party. At the end of the day, populism or not, they exist to do one thing: give tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires. They do that now while talking about this culture war stuff. Back then, the right-wing media talked about the culture war stuff. The Republican leadership didn't really, but they still only did the tax cuts. The outcome is the same, except with the new version of the party, they get to get constantly enraged, and they are gonna find that to be so much more appealing than the sort of boring, corrupt, it's not even wonkiness, the faux wonkiness of Paul Ryan. It's not gonna work.
No, and I think this all should be a red flag, a warning for Democrats, particularly Joe Biden, because if you think you're dealing with the party of old, here it is. Paul Ryan was the best that the party of old had. He's out the door and he can't even get back in. He's gonna get laughed to scorn. I'm just looking forward to seeing how the dynamic dummy duo of Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene rip him apart. But Joe Biden and the Democrats really need to understand that they're dealing with an entirely different breed and they need to govern themselves accordingly.
Yeah, exactly. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.